Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another stream here on the channel. I hope everybody's doing good and well, and I hope everybody is in. I hope everybody is doing good. Just setting up the stream as always. Let me know how the audio is doing good, or if the audio is doing good, and if everybody can hear me loud and clear, team. And then we're gonna start. Yo, Fuzzle, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing good. Fuzzle has been absolutely killing it, guys. Good to have you here on the stream. Let me just arrange the lighting a little bit. I'm good, brother. I'm doing good, man. Just the weather here in Amsterdam has been absolutely crazy. Thanks, Dom. Good to hear. Good to see you again. Yeah, the weather in Amsterdam has just been absolutely mad, guys. Not gonna lie, every single day, as of the past few days, it's raining, then sunny, then raining, then sunny, but literally within the space of 5 minutes. And in addition to that, it feels like it's winter, man. The temperatures have just gone down like crazy. I'm wearing shorts every single day, as you can see, but suddenly it's freezing. But I just like going in gym close to the office, because then I can just go straight running or to the gym. But this morning I went to the gym already, but now I'm still just gonna go for a little run with Rooker later today. Yeah, buddy, it's the same here, man. When are you cutting the hair? Mod, I'm going tomorrow. I was literally thinking about saying it in the market outlook this morning, but you can see, man, the sides are getting very long. So I've decided tomorrow is going to be the day that I'm going to get a haircut. So on Thursday, you'll see in the market outlook that the hair is going to be shorter. Where's the cap? Yeah, the cap, I lost it, man. It's somewhere, but I can't find it. I think I left it at my friend's house, so I'll have to pick it up later today. Thanks, Karani. But yeah, guys, good to see you all here on the stream. Before I dive in, make sure to leave a like on the stream as always, is always highly appreciated. This week has been crazy, even though it's just Tuesday afternoon. The week itself has been absolutely madness. Hope you guys have seen it as well, or that you guys check out the daily market outlooks, because the market outlooks have been really on fire, especially in the last 1.5 weeks, where we've done some really good predictions on where price would potentially be heading next, mainly in relationship to obviously the dollar, our baby. Look, at the end of the day, I sometimes also try to trade other pairs, but guys, there is nothing that beats trading the dollar. It's just the most liquid and, in my opinion, the most clean pair that there is. We can clearly see how beautifully it's been moving in towards the downside. So I'm thinking of giving you guys a little bit of a breakdown there on the dollar, just highlighting why I was looking for those shorts and why those shorts played out so beautifully. So that's clear for everyone, because yeah, I can say that I've been talking about these dollar shorts for a long time, but the most important part is that you guys understand why I was looking for those short positions, okay? So what I just want you to understand, and before I dive in, by the way, let me know where you are tuning in from in the world, guys. Super curious to see where we have everybody in from today. Obviously, myself in Amsterdam here in the Netherlands. If you don't know where the Netherlands is, it's a small country in West Europe where around 17 or 18 million people live, and I live in the capital of the Netherlands called Amsterdam. That's a little bit more about me. Maybe if you guys want, I'll tell you a little bit more about my hobbies, but maybe we have to keep that for the second date. Fantastic. Wow. We have Leeds, Vancouver, Canada, Montreal, Greece, Texas, Australia, Singapore, France, United States, Pakistan, India, Kenya, Germany, The Hague, Romania, Utah. Fantastic. Fantastic. Guys, appreciate you all taking the time to be here. Let's focus on what's super important, and that's just giving you guys value. So let's start off with talking about the dollar and how we understood that the dollar was going to continue its overall leg in towards the downside, because for some, it may still be a little bit unclear, okay? So first of all, when we look at the dollar from a higher time perspective, being the monthly, I think it's relatively simple to say that we have been obviously since around the beginning of the year in a downtrend here on the dollar. Now, this overall downtrend is extremely similar to what we saw during Trump's previous presidency, where also within his first, let's say, full year of becoming president, that was back in January of 2017, you can see that an overall downside push on the dollar started to form. Right now, this is literally an exact replica of that move that we saw in Trump's previous first year. So first of all, that was kind of like the first thing that I noticed. You can see that prior, or in the year prior to Trump's first presidency, we saw an overall area of consolidation. On the weekly time frame, it becomes a little bit more clear. We've talked about this in the past quite a few times, but we have a very clear area of accumulation. This was around 2015 all the way into 2016. So actually around a 2-year period of consolidation. And then when Trump became president, everybody bullish on the dollar, right? So that first month of November and December, we start pushing up, but then that just seems to be a fake out. And then throughout his first year of being president, the dollar sells off. Now, this time around, the exact same thing happened, where within, let's say, the year before becoming president, so let's say since January of 2023, the dollar continued to consolidate. And then towards Trump's, let's say, election, which was obviously in November of 2024, the market accelerated in towards the highs, faking out above the range, exactly as happened over here back in 2017, and then it sold off in towards the downside with a clear downtrend within his first year. Now, in that previous kind of like term, you can see that the dollar kind of like bottomed out in September, and now we're also in September. So who knows, we could see somewhat of a similar piece of price action here on the dollar. But the most important part is that you understand that the dollar has been trending down this year with a lot of momentum. Now, to understand why we were looking for shorts on the dollar throughout this entire week, we just need to look at some very simple concepts that I use time and time again. And I'm going to keep it so simple that everybody who is watching this current video will understand how to use it, and that is the focus on liquidity. Now, all you sometimes just need to do is just understand that the market is trending downwards, right? Sometimes you'll kind of like struggle a little bit with market structure, but all I want you to understand is that this piece of price action is trending in towards the downside. We haven't yet really seen any kind of clear reversal within this gray box that the market actually wants to head up higher, right? We can just see that we're forming, let's say, lower low, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and potentially a new lower low. That's all you kind of like really need to understand. The only thing that is extremely important to really look at when the market is trending downwards is just liquidity. Now, it's really as simple as just looking for little bumps in the road within the overall push down, right? So when you, for example, look here at this break of structure down, don't focus too much on, is this then also a break of structure, and then this is a break of structure up, and then from now I want to look for longs. Like, this is a way to look at it, but I preferably just look at it a little bit more simplistic nowadays, especially in current market conditions, where I just focus, okay, what is the overall greater trend actually doing? The overall trend is bearish. Then the second thing that I tend to do is just purely look at liquidity. So what I do is I mark out the bumps in the road. So what I, for example, look at is, okay, here we have a lot of descending highs. So I would, for example, mark this out as a liquidity high over here. And what you will then often see is that the market will just come back to those kind of like liquidity highs and then continue with the overall trend further in towards the downside, right? Now, this is what happens quite often. You see it here at the top as well, where you have this little bump in the road over here. You liquidate that little bump in the road, and then you just continue the overall leg in towards the downside. Now, sometimes the market will move a little bit more impulsive than other times, but here as well, you take out this little bump in the road over here, right? So this is the overall impulse down, little bump in the road, and then we take out that bump in the road, and then we continue back in towards the downside. So just purely focusing on that, we can see, okay, liquidity got taken there, and then where is the market most likely going to move towards then once again? Well, towards another liquidity point. So what I then just simply do is I look at the overall swing lows that we then want to target. So for example, here we had an overall swing low at the time, and then you can see once we come towards there, that is then a point where the market will potentially bounce. Now, the exact same thing is what I've been doing with the dollar. In this particular situation, I see, okay, this here is a liquidity low, and this here is a liquidity low. So these are just little swing lows. I mark those out as liquidity. So I see, okay, we move from this liquidity point, and then we want to short it with the overall momentum back down towards this liquidity point, and then this liquidity point. And then these are kind of like the moments where the market could potentially start to slow down to a certain extent. So that's kind of like how we then measure and understand that the dollar was ready to push down a little bit lower. And then furthermore, I was interested initially at this imbalance candle over here. So this bullish imbalance candle, which caused like this internal break of structure over here, right? Because we had some bullish trend, but then you can see, okay, we come in towards that demand zone, but there's no real kind of like, yeah, maybe here kind of like a little change of character with the wick, but then straight away rejection down, just really showing that there's not a lot of demand within here, and that it's more likely that we're going to take out the low itself because in addition, there was also no really any liquidity in the push up. And then what we do from that moment onwards is just focus on the imbalances and then follow the overall order flow further in towards the downside. And then you can clearly see that the imbalances is just order flow continuously pushing the market down lower and lower. And now on the dollar here, this is the overall area of supply that is now in control. And what I would say is that, okay, for example, if we would now want to see a push up on the dollar, do we then long from this overall low? Because that's what a lot of people would do. They would say, okay, Fabio, we're now at the liquidity low. Do we go long? And then you guys know as well, just like me, what we would now want to be waiting for. That is for the change of character to occur. So pretty much I just want this line over here to break, the overall order flow to shift. And then we could look, for example, at a long. And then we could long it, for example, first of all, this being our first target over here. And then our second target being this high over here. And then these are the kind of like the two liquidity highs. Like, I would never expect the market to take out this high and then just reverse all the way back down. No, for me, the market would need to reverse and then take out kind of like a major liquidity point like that one. And then, for example, we'll look at the next trade. Now, what troubling me is that the guy speaking English like native, how come someone speaks that good? Thank you, dreamers. I grew up in the United Kingdom, so I think, yeah, growing up in London, that kind of like contributed to my overall speaking of English. Bro, you was bullish on US dollar. Now you're bearish after the market show you that low. No, I was just explaining that I was looking at this demand zone to, yeah, further sustain a push up. But that after some time, what we can then see is that the dollar evolves into a range. And then at some point, when we start breaking this low over here, to me, it is clear that with the candle close, this is then the supply zone. And then from there, we look for the short. So for the past 1.5 weeks, I've definitely been very bearish on the dollar. And if you want to kind of like want to check that, you can just check the daily market outlooks, because yeah, my track record of what my bias is literally in the videos. Now looking at the trade opportunities and for a live trade, well guys, obviously we can look for a live trade and also look for a lower time frame potential setup. Though most setups have obviously already sailed, with the best setups being overall on USDCHF, which I've been calling in towards the downside for a very long time already now, and which has been following order flow absolutely beautifully. We can clearly see here that the overall buy for the sell was in control and that the market tapped that juicy monthly open level with sniper precision. I talked about this last Thursday on stream as well, so I hope you guys were there paying attention, because you can clearly see that on the 4-hour time frame, what does the market do? It comes in towards that monthly open level and in towards daily order flow. So from that point onwards, we're happy to then look for short position. And what I then want to do is I want to look at the internal liquidity high. And then what do we need for the overall short position to play out? Well, we need bearish market structure, which was bearish over here. Then we need the internal liquidity high, that was over here. And then we need the monthly open rejection, that was over here. And then we need the change of character, which was over here as well. And then from there, you have the short opportunity. And I know a lot of you were able to capitalize on this. And a beautiful 1 to 3 back in towards the lows. So congrats if you took that USDCHF. USDCAD, exact same thing. You can watch back last stream on Thursday. We talked about this setup as well, where USDCAD overall has been pretty consolidative, stuck within a range, and that we were looking to kind of trade it towards the overall range low over here. So I've been looking for just a continuation in towards the downside, following the overall supply. Yeah, just following the overall order flow. Did you really make 100K this month? I said 6 figures, and I'll share withdrawals when I want to. I have nothing to prove to anyone, and if I want, I would just stop streaming and stop trading from tomorrow. But like I already said in the video as well this morning, I'll be showing a lot, but obviously doing daily market outlooks where you can literally see my bias and the trades that I'm looking to take. That is already enough, but yeah, I'm happy to share some numbers as well if that makes you feel better and less insecure about your self username. So yeah, congratulations if you're still in USDCAD and in USDCHF. Those positions have been playing out beautifully and remain bearish for now, obviously, as long as the dollar remains bearish. You can clearly see that the momentum is in towards the downside, so there's nothing bullish about it. Just keep in mind again that once the order flow does shift, because now that we've taken out a significant low and we're nearing the 3 monthly open and a major news announcement with FOMC meeting on Thursday, that we could potentially see a reversal happen. because yeah, I mean, for now, this supply is in control. So as long as, because look, for example, we could see happenings that we just retrace back up and then from there continue down lower. So the only long that we would want to see is once we break this overall high over here and then look for the overall continuation trade in towards the upside. So that's what we want to see if we would want to look for any potential dollar longs. So that's the dollar index. For the rest, a lot of people have been looking to trade the yen basket. Yen basket obviously here at the yearly open, which has been acting as a very, very clean yearly open as an area of support to look for potential buying opportunities. I mean, there's been bounces on the yen basket, but the political instability in Japan, mainly the political instability, has really been preventing the yen from pushing up any higher. So it doesn't matter if the technicals align, the overall fundamentals are just not really there yet. For now, we've obviously seen kind of like an initial swipe of the first bullish reaction. So the early buyers getting stopped out, but now the yen has just been consolidating. So this is moreover just something that I'm avoiding to trade at the moment, and hence I've been more focusing on the US dollar. So yeah, mainly focusing on the US dollar for now, as opposed to the yen basket. Yen basket just remains very, very unclear in my personal opinion, but it also just hasn't really been moving anywhere. It's just kind of like stuck within this overall range over here. So I'm not really looking to trade the yen pairs. For the rest, let me just fucking ban this idiot, guys. I've showed so many live withdrawals. I've shared broker statements before. So the yen basket just been consolidating. Furthermore, looking at pound pairs. So GPUSD has been moving cleanly. A lot of people ask me for Euro NZD, by the way. Euro NZD has been a position I was looking to long, but I'm actually not a very big fan of it at the moment. Main reason being, because obviously, look, what has happened here is, again, we had kind of like this area of demand over here. Now, a lot of traders looking again for a long position from that area of demand, right? So let me just use the replay tool on this for a second. So here we have the overall daily fractal structure that was bullish. However, if you look at the 4-hour time frame, you can very clearly see that the overall push up is one of those news pushes. We talked about this as well, kind of like last stream, on the last stream. You can see it's pretty much a clean push up, and then what the market very often does, it kind of comes back down, right? And then what does it do? It comes into, let's say, this refined 4-hour demand zone over here, or it just didn't. Let me see what it does here. Okay, well, what we see here is, let's say, just a very clean kind of like support resistance play. Get some initial buyers in, looking at the 1-hour time frame here, where you can clearly see that there was some, let's say, internal bullish structure, continues to push up higher, but then eventually the overall trend just continues bearish, and it's more kind of like of a pullback in towards the downside. Well, here you can see the monthly and weekly open kind of do its thing, but then eventually it just needs to head down lower and grab more liquidity. If you look at the daily time frame, and this was obviously related to Europe's political instability when the French Prime Minister got deleted, let's put it that way, and then it just heads down lower, and then obviously it takes out this overall low, and now you're seeing kind of like a bullish reaction again. So these are also very clear liquidity plays where we just want the overall fake demand zone to get taken out, and then you can look for kind of like those short-term longs. But for myself here on Euro NZD, the overall daily order flow still has supply situated over here. So this supply zone still remains in the way of any further upside to get with the monthly open. So I'm kind of a lot more looking at a potential short-term short maybe on Euro NZD to see it kind of like push a little bit deeper. But it will depend on how we react to that monthly open and what the 4-hour time frame will be doing. When it comes to USDCAD, I wouldn't be looking for longs myself. USDCAD in itself, like, it's coming near a monthly open, it's in the overall discount zones. So obviously after such a large impulse in towards the downside, the market could start retracing. But again, when we get back to what the dollar has been doing, why would we be looking for a dollar pullback? Because a dollar pullback would mean a USDCAD long. But what's the dollar done in order to tell us that we want to push up higher, right? So if we look here at what the dollar has been doing on the 4-hour, it's now become clear that we get the push down, the pull back up, the push back down, the pull back up, the push back down. So it's extremely bearish. So in these kind of situations, you don't want to be going long on USDCAD. you just want to be shorting it, but you don't want to be shorting it here, obviously. You're not going to short USDCAD when the move over here has happened. Where do you want to short USDCAD? You want to short it over here. Or let's say we now see a retracement. This is, for example, theoretically speaking, where you would want to be looking for short. Now, I wouldn't be looking for short myself from here, but that's theoretically speaking where you want to be looking for a short. So the bias might be bearish that I have on the dollar, or the dollar is still bearish regarding its bias, right, with the market structure that we have here and what is going on. But me being bearish doesn't mean you can just sell every single day. It means that we need to wait like snipers in the bushes for our potential opportunity, because we've just taken out a major swing low. We're already kind of like in the impulsive phase. So again, it's all about where we are trading in and in what phase we are. And a good example is Euro USD indeed, which has been pushing in towards the highs, and again, which we've talked about quite some time since, let's say, the range broke out, where on Euro USD, wow, it's raining really hard. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can hear it through my headphones. Where in this particular situation with Euro USD, you can clearly see that we have the impulsive phase over here. So this is the overall impulsive phase that we have. And then what happens after that impulsive phase is that we get into the pullback phase, which is until here. Now, the pullback phase takes until where? Well, it takes until, again, the bump in the road that we have situated over here, which acts as an area of liquidity. And in addition to that, also to the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. So we retrace into the 0.5, we take out the overall bump in the road / liquidity, and that is then the moment that the pullback phase is over, and then the impulsive phase starts. So again, I might have been looking for some short-term shorts here on a daily market outlook, but the overall narrative just continues to be bullish as we're trading in the impulsive phase. And then obviously when it becomes a lot more clear that the impulsive phase is in control is once we broke out of the range with this break of structure in towards the upside here, where this imbalance then got supported and we broke back above the monthly level, and the monthly level then got retested in addition to the area of demand. So that now means that this demand zone is now in control, and the only thing that you can be thinking in your mind is obviously look at a potential long on your USD. Until where? Until the break of structure line, because the break of structure line is where you ultimately will expect at some point in time, right, a pullback to happen. And a pullback can happen as soon as you take out liquidity, but it could also just continue rallying in towards the upside, and then eventually somewhere over here make a pullback. But the thing is that, and what I'm trying to make you guys understand is that the right time to buy, right? So the right time to buy is when the pullback is over. And then when is the pullback over? It's very important to understand that. It's when we are trading, such as, for example, here at the bottom of the orange zone at a new 0.5 fib, or at the 0.5 fib. So now on your USD, where are we trading? And you can kind of already, if you're smart, you will already know where we are trading at, because if you now go into the 4-hour time frame, we're trading after a 4-hour BOS, right? So the BOS line is here up, then here it was down, then here it was up. Let me get the right line. So here it was up, and then here again it was up, and then what again? Over here again it was up. So that now means that where are you trading? You're trading above the BOS. So where do you want to be going long? You want to be going long here, right? So after a BOS, as here, so as soon as the BOS takes place, you can expect a pullback, or kind of like, well, after the BOS, you expect the pullback in towards the downside. The most important part is that where you want to go long is once the pullback has taken place into what? Into the 0.5 fib. So here we retrace into discount pricing, into the monthly open, and into discount. So that's why this orange zone is where you want to be buying, right? So this orange zone, that's where you want to be buying. Now on the next kind of like leg here on your USD, where do you want to be buying? You want to be buying inside. So for example, now we draw in the premium versus discount tool. You want to be buying pretty much inside here. So what would then be a good area to go long? Well, for example, this demand zone over here, which aligns with the monthly open, which is underneath this orange zone over here. So that's where you would want to be looking for potential long opportunity on your USD. You don't want to be sending me a message, Fabio, should I go long on your USD now? Like, with all respect, it's kind of stupid to go long here, right? Because you're trading after the BOS line, and obviously you're in the impulsive phase, but the moment to go long was when we were trading inside of this little green zone over here, okay? So that's where you want to go long, because we've tapped into the orange zone, and then inside of this entire green zone, that's when you can then go to the 15-minute time frame, and then you can understand, okay, I want to go long. So for example, here in towards the downside, shift of market structure, and then this is demand, and then you want to go long this entire leg, and then you can capture kind of like these impulsive price movements. That's where you want to be going long. So I hope you kind of guys, yeah, you understand what then that means for current market price action, where we're trading after a BOS. So the only thing theoretically that you could be able to trade is a pullback. But then again, if you look at the intraday time frame being the 4 hour or the 1 hour, we're trading after the BOS line. So I wouldn't want to go long here. But looking at the 4 hour time frame as well, or looking at the daily, excuse me, on the daily, you're still in the impulsive phase. So looking at the 4 hour time frame, you kind of like want to go short, if that makes sense, because you're trading after BOS. So what do you expect after BOS? You expect a pullback to take place. When do you expect a pullback to take place? Once a change of character happens and once you grab liquidity, or when you, for example, hit the free monthly open, right? So the free monthly open together with a change of character, that could cause a pullback. But on the daily time frame, you're still trading in the impulsive phase and you're still fractal bullish. So it only makes sense to kind of like wait for a long, if you guys kind of understand what I mean, from inside of this green zone. So again, this is kind of like a masterclass. What you want to understand is that because I trade, for example, maybe the 4 hour, right? So what I do is I try to understand based on the daily and the 4 hour, where am I trading? So first of all, I look on the daily. Am I below the break of structure line or am I above the break of structure line? So here on the daily time frame of your USD, I'm underneath the break of structure line in the impulsive phase. Those are the two things that you need to understand. So here on your USD, I'm in the impulsive phase and I'm underneath the break of structure line. So based on the daily, I only want to be looking for longs. And the fractal structure is bullish as well, of course. And now 4 hour time frame, where are we then trading at? Excuse me. 4 hour time frame, we're trading above the break of structure line, right? So not anymore in the impulsive phase. We're nearing the pullback phase. So on the 4 hour time frame, I'm kind of like more flat / leaning towards a pullback trade. So there's no alignment. But when the 4 hour was trading in that orange zone down over here, or / kind of like in this region, then I'm bullish because I'm trading underneath the break of structure line and the 4 hour swing bullish as well. So it makes sense to just purely look for longs. So that's how you can kind of like understand, is a pair ready to trade, yes or no? And then obviously you can kind of like take fundamentals and the dollar index into consideration. Now, Dan is asking, for example, your AUD looks good for a quick short-term short, way above the break of structure line on the 4 hour time frame. Let's have a look. So on the daily time frame here on Euro AUD, let's talk about, first of all, where are we trading, right? So on the daily time frame here, this is the impulsive phase. Then here you have the pullback phase in towards the free monthly open. Again, you see how sexy that free monthly previous open was. So into the pullback phase. And now again, what are we inside of? We're inside the impulsive phase. So market structure wise, you want to be looking for a long position, right? That's what overall makes sense. So looking at this, I'm personally not interested in looking for a short, even though the internal trend here, right, to a certain extent is bearish, right? So you're kind of like, you're bearish because you see that we have the internal trend up, pullback, up, and then boom, break back in towards the downside. So ultimately after this break of structure, you're now bearish, but we're in the impulsive phase. So there's kind of like misalignment between what the internal structure is doing and what the overall swing structure is doing. So these charts are often a little bit more complicated because what you would have preferred, what I would have preferred, is that this imbalance candle over here, back over here, right? So once this happened, I would have preferred for this imbalance, because that's the beautiful trade, ultimately, for us to cause a change of character in towards the upside, break the free monthly level. This becomes a sell for the buy, and then we look for longs. That is the ideal trade, because then you have everything in alignment pretty much. You have the internal liquidity swipe here, you have the tap into demand, and then you have kind of like the fractal confirmation to then look for long, and then you're trading in the impulsive phase. So longs make sense from the daily time frame, and then for example on the 4 hour time frame, you see that you're also swing bullish, right? So you're also trading at a discount, so it also makes sense, for example, to go longs. But now on Euro AUD, where are we trading? So looking at where we're trading, we can see here that we are underneath a break of structure, right? So this blue dotted line is kind of like a break of structure in towards the downside. However, how you could view this now is also just kind of like a liquidity swipe to fuel the next leg back in towards the highs. And regardless of how you view it, of a liquidity swipe or a breaker structure, both point to the fact that it makes sense to pull back up, right? You also take out this low over here, which is also a swing low. So it makes sense now for your AUD to continue pushing up in towards the highs, in my opinion, because on the daily swing, we're trading in the impulsive phase. And let's say we do view this as a 4-hour BOS, then you can obviously say, okay, we're trading at discount. So we're now trading in the pullback phase of the 4 hours. So the 4 hours trading inside the pullback phase, and the daily is trading in the impulsive phase. So both align to the fact that we are looking for a long. So here there is alignment in what you're looking for. So therefore it could make sense to now look for your AUD long back in towards the upside and trade, for example, back up to what could be all of these highs that we have over here, right? So you could say all of these highs that we have here, those are now the highs, or the let's say the descending highs that you would see as liquidity that you now want to target within this overall pullback phase before either it heads down back lower or it just continues with kind of like an internal trend to continue push bullish up higher. Now your AD is not, in my opinion, the most clean pair. Let me put it that way, because a much cleaner pair, and what I want you guys to understand, is a pair like USDCHF. Okay, so USDCHF has everything I just explained. Now again, I'm going to do this nice and naked for you guys so you fully understand how to analyze this. Okay, so what we look at here is the daily time frame where we have a breaker structure in towards the downside. So what I now look at is swing high in towards swing low, right? So I want you guys to understand this fully, okay? Because this is the most critical concept that you need to understand in this whole trading thing, because I see too many people struggling with this. So we look at this from the perspective that this is, first of all, the swing structure. So again, we want daily and we want 4-hour alignment, all right? So we have the 1 day and we have the 4 hour. So based on what I see on the daily, we have what? We have swing structure that is bearish from this high in towards this low. And what is then the overall impulsive phase down? This is the overall impulsive phase down over here. Let's make this nice and red. Then this here is the overall pullback phase in towards the upside. Now, when do I expect the overall pullback phase to end? I expect the pullback phase to end once either we grab liquidity, retrace into the 0.5 fib, or once we see, let's say, supply zone hit. Now, in this situation here, we have a buy before the sell here. That is an area of supply. So that supply zone has the potential now to continue pushing the market back down lower, to create a new lower low, because that is overall what the trend is doing. Remember what I explained at the beginning of this video, like this black zone, USDCHF, is trending in towards the downside. So ultimately you just want to, for the highest probability trades, just only be looking for shorts, as simple as that. So on the daily time frame, we're looking for a short, and we've retraced to the 0.5 fib, and we've retraced, no, don't sell Yuma Meli, don't sell your USD. I explained a lot on your USD, and like obviously it can sell off at any point in time, and it's not financial advice, but it's super bullish, so it doesn't make any sense to short that thing. So USDCHF retraces to the 0.5 fib, retraces into supply, so now it might make sense to continue down lower. So then I go to the 4-hour time frame. Now, based on what I see here on the 4-hour time frame, I look at my swing structure, right? So here I had a swing breakdown, meaning this here is my swing high, and I draw it into my swing low. So there is perfect alignment on the 4-hour time frame in the sense that impulsive phase down, pullback phase in towards the highs. We've retraced all the way back up into premium, and we're now looking for the continuation in towards the downside. The only kind of thing that you now need is kind of like a trend to start forming within the overall like impulse phase to trade the continuation, if that makes sense. So I'm now looking to trade the continuation, which is what I'm now expecting us to be inside of, because again, the swing structure is from this high in towards this low, and this here was the breaker structure line. As simple as that. So we're now in the impulsive phase. So now you only want to be focusing on shorts pretty much, because we've retraced into supply and into premium. And here on the 4-hour time frame, you see clear structural shift. So I expect this as supply to continue pushing us down lower. But for the confirmation, you could wait for another breaker structure, for example. So then what you see happening and this is going to take a little bit of a long time because I know it's a little bit consolidated price action, because then we had the August range, and then boom. Okay, what happens? We see a break of structure in towards the downside. So now you've pretty much had a double break of structure within the overall impulsive phase, so it makes sense to continue to look for shorts, right? This is the overall, let's say, again, the impulsive phase. Previously, here we had the overall pullback phase in towards the highs. Let me just make that orange so it's a bit more clear for you guys. And this was the previous impulsive phase. So we expect the pullback to be over, and we're now expecting to be in the impulsive phase again, because one, we, let's say, retraced into this supply zone over here. We grabbed, let's say, the last descending high, market structure shift down, and then a second market structure shift down. So we are bearish from this high in towards whatever this low may be. So now, ultimately, you can continue to look for shorts, right? So you continue to look for a short position. Well, here, maybe you could have taken a short in towards downside, but not the cleanest of supply zones here to the left. So I would have just left that out. But now it starts to get a little bit more clean, where we want to look for those continuation trades. So again, what happened here was so bloody beautiful, where again, so simple. Here, break of structure down. Then again, here, what do we have? We have a break of structure down. Then what happens? This here is the overall swing high. This here is the overall swing low. We retrace above, let's say, this little bump in the road high over here. And then what happens from that moment onwards is that then you see here, 4-hour change of character high break, 4-hour change of character high break, and then here the 4-hour change of character low break. And then you see the change of character happen, and then boom, we sell off in towards the downside. So this is again the first move that you then could have caught. So then again, what do? We look at the new swing structure, and again, we're in the impulsive phase. Don't at me and ask me about any fucking longs, because the only thing that we're looking at is shorts. Sorry guys, I'm just being I'm very in the zone, and I'm trying to explain it in the best way as possible so it's clear for everyone. I just want it to really be clear for you guys, because understanding this is so easy in a way. So here on the free monthly level, this is a potential support level, and we're trading after the break of structure line. So what do you expect after break of structure? You expect a pullback to happen. When do you expect a pullback to happen? When we come into a free monthly level or grab liquidity or hit a supply demand zone. Then what we need is a change of character. So here what happens is that we get the change of character low break on the 1 hour, change of character high. Now this is a very aggressive buy. I don't recommend taking these aggressive buys, because then you see just breaks low again. So what you kind of like want to wait for is for double fractal break with some clear bullish intentions. Now here, a big fat juicy candle on London Open, first fractal break. Again, I wouldn't just simply buy this. Then what happens? Another fractal high break. Now this is, for example, an intraday long that I just took on personal capital. And then here I just take the long in towards the highs, stop loss underneath the low, and then you just quick target weekly open. But the ultimate target is, again, what do we need for the next leg down? We need the overall liquidity to get grabbed, which is this high over here. So again, my market structure is bearish from this high in towards this low. I draw in my premium versus discount tool, which is this. So I understand, preferably, you always want the market to retrace towards the 0.5 fib. Well, that 0.5 fib aligns perfectly with the only bump in the road in this leg down, and with the monthly open. So you have the monthly open, you have the 0.5 fib, and you have the liquidity all aligning. This is the highest probability trade. This is literally like having a full house in poker, or having a fucking royal flush in poker. This is literally the royal flushes of poker, but then in trading. When you have the monthly open, free monthly open or yearly, aligning with a liquidity high, aligning with a 0.5 fib, and then getting the 4-hour change of character. Like, you can just wait for this to play out on a pair, and then your win rate will literally be, I think, like 75%. The only thing is that, and then especially if the daily trend aligns with the 4-hour trend, the only thing is it doesn't happen as often as we would all want it to happen, obviously. That would be good. And for anybody who doesn't know what a royal flush is, it's like winning the lottery in poker. So, and the probability of that happening is 0.001%, I think, or something, to have a royal flush. But regardless, enough poker talk. So then what happens? The market comes into where? Again, I already know that the market will then at least retrace in towards the overall liquidity high over here. and then to grab the liquidity. So it grabs the liquidity, touches the monthly level to absolute precision, and then what you get is obviously the change of character, meaning that this is then the overall supply zone that is then in control, and then either you sell on the 4-hour low break or you place a limit order, stop loss above the overall high, target a new lower low, and then you see what does the market do, comes back in, and then it continues back down in towards the downside. So this is the kind of stuff that is so crucial to understand, but once you understand it, you can see how perfectly a pair like USD Swiss plays out. So my advice is, don't ask me, Fabio, Euro AUD, what to do, because the daily is swing bullish, but the 4-hour / internal trend on the daily is bearish, right? So it's risky, but you can take along, because we expect the pullback to happen as we've grabbed major liquidity, and we're now seeing like a 4-hour internal trend here to start. So it makes sense to look for the overall pullback trade, but still you're trading what? You're trading a pullback after this entire leg down. So you're still kind of fighting against the overall trend, where with USDCHF, again, the overall daily trend is bearish as a bear jumping on a fucking rabbit that weighs 1 kilogram. The bear weighs a million kilograms. It's the worst analogy I could have ever thought of, but whatever. And the overall momentum on the daily swing is bearish, and the momentum on the 4-hour internal structure is bearish. The 4-hour swing is bearish. So everything is bearish. And again, yeah, I see a lot of you guys are saying like it seems so easy, but it is in a certain way easy. We just tend to overcomplicate it and want to focus on a specific pair to start playing out. But that's why like sometimes I won't take a trade for maybe a week or maybe for 2 weeks. But by just focusing on those pairs, that's when the real opportunity comes. And it played out on Euro USD as well, right? Like you can see how it played out here on Euro USD. It's not really any rocket science, but it's just really the only science that there is the science of controlling your mind and understanding that you don't want to be in the market all the time. If that makes sense for you guys. Now, let's see what happens. Let's bet the USD goes up against CHF, counter trend trade. You wanna bet? Maybe first of all, just learn English, Sean, before trying to bet me for $1. No disrespect, but I have nothing to prove. I'm just trying to help as many people as possible with some good value and some good education. I don't need to place any bets, but I'll play you on poker if you want. Yeah, guys, the indicator is called daily, weekly, monthly, yearly opens by SBTNC. This one over here. GPCHF short. Yeah, so GBPCHF shorts was a good one as well. Like GPCHF is like one of those trades just very similar to the USDCHF, where is very clear that the momentum is in towards the downside and there is potential to just capitalize on the overall trend. Yeah, I mean, guys, people come in here try to disrespect me. Like, what do you expect? I'll just really respond with disrespect back if people disrespect me. People don't understand, but I could just go and do my own thing and live on a little island somewhere in Indonesia with people who just want to share love and happiness. But instead, I try to deal with YouTube haters who never made $1 in their life, but still just want to come on stream just to blow some smoke when I've been on interviews with Alpha Capital, with Trading Pit, and I've been invited to join the Alpha Prime program. I was literally in London where I created a vlog about it, of joining Alpha Prime, and then still people just come to throw smoke on my name. I just think it's the funniest shit ever. But then they still buy a course from some Mamba FX or an FX Alex G or whatever shit influencer out there. But yeah, that's just me. Luckily, the markets are so big that nobody even notices who I am. It's called Bali. Thanks, Feroz. Yeah, so G Swiss. Obviously then here bearish on can I find the fractal structure break indicator? It's in the description of the video. Cool key. Yeah, guys, don't worry, I don't pay too much attention to the haters, but I just want at least everybody to be aware what goes on. Yeah, I shared so many withdrawals. I have literal videos of me doing live withdrawals with FTMO, live withdrawal with Alpha Capital, a live withdrawal with the trading pit. I can do another one with the trading pit. I can also do a live withdrawal on my broker. It doesn't matter. They'll still just talk shit, but whatever. Yeah, the GP Swiss short was a nice one. I think GP Swiss, we are the baddie. Yeah, bro. We are. Relax a bit. Come to Bali. I am going to come to Bali soon. I am going to find us a baddie. Yeah, let's find you guys a baddie. I mean, G Swiss was a baddie, I think. G Swiss overall on the daily time frame, obviously bearish here. Now, when we look at G Swiss overall, what we can see here is that we've again been rejecting the baddies of baddies. And that's that monthly level. Fuck, man, that thing just comes out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, it just comes out of nowhere, man. It's too good. Again, what do we want to see here for G Swiss? We see literally the overall momentum has been in towards the downside, so we don't really want to fight that momentum until we see a very clear trend shift. I think it's clear that here we had a break of structure down, here we had a break of structure down. Have we broken below this? Not really yet, just with a liquidity grab. So this is kind of like your swing structure. The market gave an initial push down, retraced back up to the monthly open. Again, it's been pushing down. It looks good. I mean, the daily swing is obviously bearish. Then if we go to the 4-hour time frame, we've been bearish with the overall momentum. It's not the cleanest of charts, but the momentum is definitely for now in towards the downside. All I can say here is that we have this obviously as a supply zone, as the buy before the sell. Then here we have a lot of liquidity forming. We come up with a fake move up, then we break down, and now the momentum has been in towards the downside. So it makes sense to continue looking for shorts on this. Another pair that I've been looking at for potential rebound has been GA. We talked about this last week, by the way. It came a little bit deeper than I wanted it to. This one is, again, it's not kind of like a very simple setup, not one of the simplest of setups. All I can say, it's a nice range play where we have grabbed lower bound liquidity after grabbing the higher bound liquidity. So it has potential to really start reversing, in my opinion, from here. Keep an eye on that. Let's see. What are you guys looking at for the rest? NZDUSD, yeah. NZDUSD I've talked about a lot. A lot of people have been looking for shorts on that, but that thing, again, you can see my Picasso drawing. I don't think I need to explain it too much, but I think NZDUSD is one of the best examples out there to, again, really show how I want you guys to look at charts from the perspective that there has been so many good shorting opportunities on NZDUSD. I don't know, like, do you want me to explain NZDUSD or just go through some pairs? Because I kind of already did a very long explanation on USD Swiss. Do you want me guys to break down NZDUSD, or should I just go through the pairs, just name some pairs and I'll check those out? GPND. Yeah, so GPND looks good for further upside. Like, GN is one of those pairs that I really like for longs, man. This is a nicer one. I think personally that what we've had here is like clear bullish structure where we've been breaking up. We've been, again, breaking up. I would for now say swing low, swing high, pretty much like this. You could also say this is a swing low, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, we're bullish here. Overall, let's say this is the overall swing leg. Keep it nice and simple. You can see we retraced the 0.5 fib. We've taken out this internal liquidity here. So it makes sense to say that soon the impulsive phase in towards the highs should start again. So I'll be looking for longs on this in the near future, back up towards a new higher high for GPNZD. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, the only thing standing in our ways is NBOS supply zone with the monthly open that I'm very scared of. I think this could cause a reaction. What I would be looking at here is more for a daily change of character. So I would preferably stay out of it for now. I would say let's wait for this to break and then look for the retest and then get in on that last and final impulsive phase. So I would say wait for that. This is kind of like the real green zone, and the zone that we're currently in is more kind of like a purplish greenish, not ideal to be in yet. So for me, GN is not yet kind of like in the phase where I want it to be, as it could just simply sell off again in the near future. NZDCAD. Let's have a look at that. I see somebody asking NZDCAD short. Yeah, NZDCAD short is one of those pairs that's uglier than whatever exists in the world that is very fucking ugly. We have though got some nice descending highs here that we've taken out. So yeah, a massive liquidity point there got taken. I would say looking at what we can see from a 4-hour perspective, we have had a very overextended push in towards the upside, grabbing major liquidity. So an overall retracement in towards the downside definitely makes sense. Again, it's not a very clean chart, but we are trading after the break of structure line. So here we had a break of structure in towards the downside. Here again we had a break of structure. No, that was just with a wick. So this here is the break of structure in towards the upside. Now that then means that this is your overall swing. So we're trading obviously at a premium after the liquidity high, and we've seen a change of character in towards the downside. So yeah, I mean, from a logical perspective, this short makes sense. Let's see what the Bank of Canada does on interest rates and what they announce. But from a technical perspective, yeah, I mean, the short makes sense. Like the higher probability short is obviously if this 3 monthly aligned as well, but the short makes sense. AUD NZD is more bullish. You're kind of like looking for a retracement. The thing is, again, what do I think of AUD NZD? I think it's very fucking bullish. It's sorry for the language, guys. If you really hate me swearing, I'll try and stop, but it's just kind of like my personality. My father used to swear a lot. No hate to him, love him a lot. The daily time frame is a sell before the buy. So strong buy or sell down, buy up. Again, what pushes us up higher? The monthly level, absolutely beautiful. The daily time frame, here we have the obviously the daily order flow, so the daily supply zone. So you want to be looking for a long inside of there. Looking here on the 4-hour time frame, where are we trading? We're trading above the breaker structure line. So what do we want to do now? We want to wait for what could be a deeper retracement. Now, the only thing here that I have with AUD NZD is that there's not really any clear demand zone, clear liquidity low, clear bump in the road within this overall leg up. But I guess that's also just kind of like more the pair. It's just kind of like an ugly little duck that nobody fucking wants. So I guess that's kind of like how you have to trade it. You just have to wait for somewhat of a V-shaped reaction to one of the lows that we have inside the leg up. So you could say this low over here, for example. Yeah, I don't trade AUD NZD, but then I would say wait for that, then wait for a strong reversal up, and then just wait for like a double fractal break, and then we could look for kind of like a long again. But obviously here, it's kind of like in a no trading zone, right? We're after the breaker structure, so it doesn't really make sense to look for any longs at current levels. Shorts, you could look for it, but then you're trying to call the top, and with a market as bullish as this one, I would definitely not be looking for a short position at all. AUDCHF, AUDCHF has started to push down. Looking at the daily, yeah, I mean, nice little range play again. Came to the range low, has come to the range high, could start selling off. You're a little bit late to the party. This is kind of like the main demand zone for now, where price should kind of like come towards. Well, that's where it's coming towards. The 4-hour change of character sadly was only all the way down over here. It would have been ideal if it broke this high, and then this here would have been the change of character low, and then we could have gotten into a short. For now, the move has kind of been playing out. It's a little bit late. I wouldn't look for a short, because you've just already grabbed internal range low or internal liquidity. So when we were to look at this as the impulse up, then what are the liquidity lows or the bumps in the road? Let's say this low here and this low here, right? So now you've already taken out a major low, and you're coming into daily demand, so it doesn't make sense to look for a short. I would more be looking for a long once we see some bullish momentum come in, preferably from the monthly open, and then look to long it back up towards these descending highs. That's kind of like what I would look at. And then Euro Yen is bullish. I wouldn't short this at all, to be very honest. Like I had a short drawing on there, and that was kind of like referring to you need an order flow to start forming to look for shorts. But for now, this thing is bullish as can be. So I'm not trying to call a top or place a short. It doesn't make sense to my or to me to look for a short at all. So I would just be looking for this to continue up higher. That's my 50 cents on that. But Fuzzle, you're looking for potential shorts. Yeah, for me, just really not a short possible. It's just so bullish. 50-minute also so bullish. I see what you're referring to in the sense that it's grabbed this high. This is quite a significant high, if I'm very honest, and that has caused some bearishness. Maybe a short-term intraday short position here once it kind of like shows some bearish momentum again. But yeah, really a short-term trade, because the thing is a fucking train, man. USDJPY, looking for this just to continue down lower. I would only be looking for a long. I'm not going to get into any new shorts, but to look for long, you would need to wait for this low here to get swiped, as we are trading in a range, and you want to be sticking to the extremes of the range. So it only makes sense to look for shorts once the range low gets liquidated. And then last of all for you, Aussie Yen, that's the last one. That could start pulling back. Yeah. But I think NZDJPY looks a little bit cleaner for a pullback, as that is still here at the yearly open level, at the free monthly open level, and on the 4-hour time frame, we've taken out. It looks kind of like USD Swiss and USD CAD. Here you have the bump in the road taken out. Here you have the breaker structure down, swing high, swing low, and now you kind of like want to see this little internal trend shift to downside and look for a sell. So I think NZDJPY would be a better short than an AUDJPY. Guys, thanks so much. I see most people are starting to leave. If you could just leave a like on the stream, always appreciated. Sending a lot of love, happiness your way, wherever you are in the world. As always, spread love, don't spread hate, and focus on all positive vibrations. And I'm just here to help you guys with whatever you need, as always. So if you feel like you're struggling, if you're lost, if you don't know what to do and you do want to make it happen, then just feel free to add me inside the server, Discord server, links in the description of the video. Open a ticket, send me a DM. I don't often reply to DMs very fast, but I'll do my best. Yeah, what can I say? Just appreciate you all, man, and sending love your way as well. I'm a little bit tired today, as you can kind of hear by my voice, but we'll be back on Thursday again with the next live stream, and looking forward to being on the live with you all. Spread hate and get banned. Yeah, GG guys, thanks, appreciate you, bye.